We are seeds because we are part of life. All life begins a seed. It could be you when you were a little embryo in your mother's womb, or it could be the amazing foods that we have. It all begin in seed, or the trees in the forests. Life begins a seed, and seed in our language is bija, that from which life evolves and multiplies forever and ever and ever. It's the permanence of nature and the permanent renewal of nature. Navdanya actually does grassroots work. Navdanya saves seeds. We've created 120 community seed banks. We have helped more than 1 million farmers make a transition to organic farming. And because it's no point just growing the organic food, they need to distribute it. We've created fair economies, food sovereignty economies that are based on economic sovereignty. And the Navdanya farmers are earning 10 times more than the farmers growing commodity crops to earn more money. I'm the one who does the philosophy. And why do I do philosophy? Because I believe you must reflect on things. And I'm a physicist, trained as a physicist. But when I realized there was a huge, deep gap between a mechanistic physics and its mechanistic philosophy, I was studying quantum theory. And I want to understand its foundations. So I did a PhD in the foundations of quantum theory. And you could now say, with all my work on biodiversity and agriculture, I've done the philosophy of the seed, I've done the philosophy of farming, I've done the philosophy of soil, I've done the philosophy of life. And life is about reflection and acting with thought and thoughtfulness. And for me, nature is something you can't put at the back of your mind. You can't be something you trample on and conquer. Nature has to be the heart of your very consciousness, because we are part of it. Okay, the first is chronic hunger is a new phenomena, and it's a gift of the industrial agriculture system which pretended to be feeding the world. We've had hunger before, but it was only when there were times of total rainfall failure, an extended drought, and you had hunger. Or it was huge exploitation, like the British Empire's exploitation of the peasantry of India, which created the Great Bengal Famine, which killed 2 million people. As Amartya Sen has written, there was enough rice. It was not lack of rice that led to hunger, it was excess of exploitation. That is why the Tebhaga movement say, take 1/3 taxes, not 50% taxes. It's the taxation and the lagan that created the hunger then. Or wars create hunger. But that's always limited in space and time. The war comes and the war goes. The drought comes and the drought goes. Chronic hunger is in the structure of an industrial system designed on greed. It's not feeding the world. The 1 billion people hungry are because of this. Undernourished, everyone's undernourished because we are not producing food, we are producing nutritionally empty commodities. Nutritionally empty commodities will not nourish you. No one is overnourished. Even the ones who are called overnourished, who are obese and having diabetes, are undernourished because they're not getting the right food. So good food for all is my new passion in life, because I've realized that everything is connected through food. The web of life, which is the nature's web, is a food web. As our Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad says, everything is food, everything is something else's food. So all life is connected through nutrition. And today the poisoning of our food system is not just poisoning human beings, giving them diabetes and cancer, it is poisoning our fish out of existence, it's poisoning our pollinators and bees out of existence, it's poisoning our birds, and Silent Spring by Rachel Carson was a wake-up call more than 50 years ago. Poisons are genocide. Poisons are ecocide. That's why I'm dedicated to a poison-free world by 2050, an organic world by 2050, and I hope all movements will join. And I hope the Balipara movement will lead this transition in the Northeast, because after all, our Prime Minister came to Sikkim, which is 100% organic, and announced that the whole Northeast will be organic. Let's take him to his word. So the first issue is, when you think of organic as a commodity, as a product that some businessman can sell at a higher price, you get the thesis organic is costly. Organic production is cheaper. For the peasant who grows it, going organic is the better option. Every farmer who has committed suicide in India, 300,000 is, and more, is the list from the National Bureau of Crime Records, has got into debt for chemicals and seeds. Those are the two primary reasons for debt. You get rid of that chemical and you get rid of purchased seed and you go to your desi seeds, you will not just have zero debt and zero suicides, you will actually have more nutrition. We measure nutrition per acre in Vandana. We can feed 2 times India's population with good, diverse organic food if the systems were not punishing the organic farmers and rewarding the chemical farmers. If the systems were not punishing the local economy and rewarding the globalized commodity trade where we are exporting everything we grow and we are importing toxic food and further poisoning ourselves. And the final shift is all organic systems, all ecological systems, because agroecology is the term the United Nations is using. Ecology in agriculture. We have industry in agriculture, which has left a mess. 75% planetary destruction, 75% chronic diseases, 100% of the rural economy's crisis. If we shift to agroecological systems, which are ecological principles in agriculture, we can solve the ecological crisis, we can solve the farmers' crisis, and we solve the health crisis. This is the only affordable way. If you look at the subsidies in the industrial systems, it's $400 billion per year. More than $1 billion a day is being spent of our tax money to poison us globally. Same is the case for India. We have to shift that system, because our tax money is poisoning the planet and people. Our tax money should reward a transition to protection of the earth and protection of people's health. So when I did a critique of the Green Revolution in Punjab, because Punjab had erupted in violence, it was supposed to be the land of peace, Nobel Peace Prize was given, and it was a land of war in '84. I was among the only voices saying we must go ecological in our farming. Today, not only is the United Nations recognizing that agroecology is the way forward, and it just gave Sikkim the award for agroecology for being the first 100% organic state on the 15th of October 2018, and I was there for the ceremony. The organic movement is exploding. It is growing faster than any other economic sector, 25% growth annually. And the growth is because the disease epidemic is so high. So what are the key policy changes? First, costs must be internalized. We've done a study on wealth per acre. What are the costs of chemical farming? 1.3 trillion is what we found for damage to farmers and damage to environment. You add to it cost to health, it's another 1.5 trillion. We're talking about the costs of chemical farming being 3 times bigger than our GDP. That's not an economy. That's cheating on the economy. So we must internalize the cost. Second is we must stop the subsidizing of the non-sustainable system that is so destructive. Third, because it would make sense for Assam to be able to grow rice for Assam to eat, makes no sense to subsidize pumping groundwater, destroying the water of Punjab, destroying the farmers of Punjab, destroying the rice for the country by punishing farmers and the people by growing subsidized rice with high chemical use, high water use, high subsidy use, and a cancer train from Punjab. You don't have to do that. So we need to see what are the biodiversity endowments of our different regions? What are the food cultures of our different regions? On ecology and culture, we build food sovereignty. That means 3 principles have to be adopted. The first is biodiversity, the second is ecological organic farming, and the third is fair, local, fresh food rather than packaged food that is behind all the mountains of garbage which our Prime Minister is trying to clean up. We need to begin with clean food, and then the outside environment will also clean up. Humanity is not feeding itself in 2018 on the industrial mode. If we destroy our farmers, because the industry that brought us chemicals is now saying we'll do farming without farmers. We'll have drones and satellites and robots in the field. We don't need farmers. That will totally starve the world and give you toxic food so that the eaters will also go. The producers have gone by design. How will we feed ourselves 2050? Poison-free farming produces more food and better food and more diverse food. Local economies generate more livelihoods. Local cultures generate dignity and the true identity that is not an identity of killing and clashing and division and violence, but an identity of being part of the earth family. In 2050, we will feed ourselves by recognizing we are part of the earth, not outside her, and that serving the earth is the best way for us to get food.
So that was Dr. Vandana Shiva, who is an environmental activist as well as a food sovereignty advocate, speaking here at the Eastern Himalayan Naturonomics Forum 2018.
Thank you.
Thank you.